What's happening, people? So, an article came out talking about why the Switch is successful and why the Vita failed. And this article is a joke because not only are they 100% off, they're giving excuses to the reason the system failed without even touching it, okay? Their number one was quality of games. It is very well noted if you watch any of my PlayStation Vita videos that I always say the Vita has really good games. It really does. The games are really good. Are they like, PlayStation 3 visuals? No. But they're not supposed to be. You dig what I'm saying? They were never supposed to be. Okay? So, quality of games. Bullshit. Okay? The quality of games on the Vita, whether we're talking big AAA or we're talking indie. And when I say big AAA, remember, there's a full-fledged Call of Duty Black Ops that is only on the Vita. So it's not the quality of games. The games are there. The Vita library is actually way better than people give it credit for. Alright? And with the Nintendo Switch, when we talk about quality of games, that is all dependent on a personal opinion. Alright? That is a personal opinion. Do you like the games on a Nintendo? No. So then you don't play on it because third-party games don't really give you a deciding factor when buying PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. The exclusives are the reason you buy. So, quality of games is one of the reasons for the Vita failing, and no, it's not. The quality of games are there. The only really bad port of a big AAA game that I saw for the Vita was Borderlands 2. So, it's not the games. Understand that. Number 2, best of both worlds. Now, this can be said, yes, because we all know that the Switch is a portable device that you can also have on the television screen. And have a big screen experience. That's the number one reason people love the Nintendo Switch, is they can just take it with them and still be able to play those games. Alright? The Vita has a feature called Remote Play. Unfortunately, Sony didn't market the fucking Remote Play right. They didn't push the Remote Play right. Therefore, just like the app Near, that was Sony's PS Vita app, it failed. Alright? It is no one's fault. It is not a reason for Sony's PS Vita to be a failure in comparison to the Switch. The Switch took the idea and ran with it, which is, Sony, you failed your marketing campaign. How do we not do that and have the same idea, basically? Well, what if we just go ahead and instead of making it cords that you have to buy, another add-on for the system, why don't we, where you charge the system, why don't we have it when it's in the dock, throw it to the television that takes care of it? So this was Sony's fault. This was not the Vita failing to meet any expectations. Sony themselves did not market Remote Play properly. Alright? So no, that's not going to fly when it's the best of both worlds, because if you do utilize Remote Play, then it actually is the best of both worlds. But because Sony's horrible handling with the PlayStation Vita, and it is 100% Sony's fault that they failed, no one else's, not the consumer, not the marketing. It is 100% Sony PlayStation's fault the Vita failed. You just had a portable device that sold 80-something million, kind of right there on the line with PS3 owners, and the Vita sold 16 million. That is a dramatic change in numbers. It isn't because the consumer was confused. The consumer saw through your bullshit. And it bit you almost to the point of where it basically was like a dog ripping your nuts off. Like, you just couldn't get out of it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you yourself fucked the Vita so hard, Sony. So, no, it's the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, due to the marketing, due to Sony's lack of understanding, it is what it is. You feel what I'm saying? Like, what more can you do? You know what I'm saying? So, okay. And then the number 3 reason that they came up with is timing. Again, timing has absolutely nothing to do with this. This is the second time Sony has fucked up their own handheld, and people are trying to find make-believe reasons as to why Nintendo succeeds and Sony fails. This is because Sony themselves jeopardize their own selves because they don't think things through all the way. Okay? The PSP, 80 million units sold. Could have sold 100 million if Sony would have thought about it for 2 seconds. Quit making proprietary anything. Get it to where the consumer can go and make it easy for them. The money starts flowing in. Yeah, you're going to miss out on $20 for a fucking memory unit, but guess what? That $20 is made up as soon as they start buying those fucking games. You're taking money away from buying games and making us buy shit for the system to just be a fucking system. Okay? This is why Nintendo Switch has sold. This is the exact reason why the Nintendo Switch is 100% more successful than the fucking Vita. It's because what they did was they took the 3DS idea, which is just go buy any gig memory card you want anywhere. Just make sure it's the right size, whether it be the mini SD or the just regular SD cards. Go to a Walmart, buy the card. We don't give a fuck. Enjoy all the games you can play. You get what I'm saying? Where with Sony, it was, fuck you. You bought our system. Now you got to buy the memory unit just so you can experience the games. Taking away the reason for anyone to buy the fucking system in the first place. This was made more apparent and driven more home in the PS Vita life cycle. Where if you were in the States, you had to import the biggest memory card Sony made. You had to import it. And I don't know how many people import things, but importing stuff is a little bit expensive, more than normal. So you had to pay that on top of shipping, on top of the asking price for the item. Sony, you yourself are your own worst enemy, and I've said this time and time again, and it is no more evident than looking at what has happened and gone on to happen ever since the PS3 came out. I mean, there's absolutely zero fucking reason for it. You have had chance and chance and chance to get it right. And I know you're thinking, well, you just talked about the Vita being a failure, but you didn't talk about the failure of the PSP called the PSP Go, Sony's all-digital first ever handheld device. Yeah, because Sony themselves fucked that up. You cannot have a all-digital device with a little bit of memory. That doesn't work. Why do you think the Xbox One all-digital console didn't sell? Because the internal memory was a joke, even by 2019 standards. You feel what I'm saying? So, these are all Sony's personal faults. It has nothing to do about timing. It has nothing to do about the quality of games. It has absolutely nothing to do with best of both worlds, which is fucking games. Okay? It has nothing. It's all about the simplistic fact, you cannot break it down any more than this, other than Sony loves money so much and cares so little about, actually pleasing their customers, that they are why they are capping. They are their own reason why they only sold so little of a system that could have made so much. They are the reason themselves why the PSP Go failed. It was not the consumer, because people were actually looking to buy that system. I ran into like several people who were like, I'm thinking about getting the PSP Go. It's dramatically cheaper, and I don't have to worry about buying games. I can just download them. And I was like, it's got a small memory unit. Plus, if you want to expand that, it's going to cost you the memory unit that you got to buy through Sony. You can't just go out and buy this shit any fucking where. And you could, it's just when you saw the Sony card next to the SanDisk card, you just felt like your soul was being crushed, because you had to buy that Sony proprietary memory card, which was double if not triple the price. So that right there alone is the only reason the Vita failed, because of that fucking memory unit. The games are good. I've played a lot of games on my Vita. I'm still playing games on my Vita. Every once in a while I'll turn on something I haven't played in a while on the Vita and be like, this shit still looks amazing. It still plays great. My point over everything is just, don't try to make little of something that needs to be brought to the attention of everybody, because they literally themselves fucked the Vita. Nobody else. 16 million and some change tried to go, Sony, please stop. Here's money, stop. And Sony said no. Multiple times. And you wonder why I have a problem with them. Because I am a fucking handheld gamer. I love handhelds. But I absolutely hate that Sony hates us. Why? We love your device. Portable gamers love Sony devices. We bought the PSP. We bought the PS Vita. We bought multiple versions of each one, multiple times. Yet Sony looks at us with disgust. And for that reason alone, I'm going to say it. Do not release a PS Vita 2. Stay your ass in the core market, because you basically were shunned after everything was said and done with 16 million units sold. You have no reason to try again. Nintendo is going to monopolize the handheld market with their Switch and everything. And the reason you can't even compete is because you spoke out of turn, and the practices you ran were fucking way out of line. Sony, I don't know how much longer consoles are going to be a factor. I really don't. But I also don't know if you're going to be around to see it, because you keep fucking up where it's the easiest money you'll ever make, and you constantly just fuck it up. You understand? Nintendo's success comes from them basically just going, if you buy our system, you can buy the game. Well, what if you want to get more memory? Pick up a memory card at the store. We really don't care. Does it have to say Nintendo? No, I don't even think we make them. So I can buy anyone's memory unit and put it in the Switch and it'll work? As long as it's a mini, yeah. How simple is that? How fucking simple is that? I can buy a 500 gig micro SD card for less money than the 64 gig Sony proprietary Vita card. Right there. Right there. I don't hate Sony. I hate their practices and how anti-consumer they are. When the consumer just wants to like Sony. The consumer just wants to love Sony and really appreciate them. And Sony is just shoving us away like, fuck you, you're retarded. What is wrong with you? Why would you give us money? I mean, we're going to take it, but why would you give us money? Because it's obviously we can't do shit right. Just saying.